This episode of Made in America is brought to you by America's Inventor Lady and Home Talk USA. Home Talk is a proud member of the King's Broadcasting Network, which has been bringing you the best in home-based innovation since 1998.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us for this episode of Made in America.
Welcome back to Home Talk USA, right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at HomeTalkUSA.com. And now I'd like to welcome to the show the host of the Invent America show, the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Miss Rita, my partner in crime, how you doing today, Rita?
We are doing just fine. You know, it's a Monday. Everybody is running as fast as they can, and it's a gorgeous day outside, so everything is fine.
And I wanted to get you on the show. Later on in the third hour, you're going to be hosting the Made in America show, and with me, matter of fact, and it's a show that we kicked off about 2 weeks ago with our new hosts and guests. We're going to be hosting the show in the third hour, and I'm excited about that show. Now, you know, for the last couple of years, at the top of the hour, you have been hosting the Invent America show, but the twist on the Made in America has really caught fire. Like you always say on the Invent America part, America invents. But on Made in America is promoting the American products, American companies, but not only that, the American politics behind it, that our audience might not realize the struggles in the government regulations that you have in this country, making it very difficult for our American-made manufacturers to compete on the world market, because the foreign manufacturers don't play by the same rules that we play. And what I mean by that is, you know, less wages, the factories, the safety of the factories are not compliant. I mean, you know, I hate to say it, but if somebody, you know, gets killed or falls off the building, I think that just, you know, go in the backyard and they just bury them back there. I guess, I don't know. You never hear that, but the tragedies of the safety issues compared to what we have to do in the United States. So, and that's what the show does, is address to say, okay, there's a cost of doing business, and that's the cost to put the product on the market. So I know I'm kind of making a speech here, but we go from your show to get it, you know, patent, to get it, you know, manufactured, to get it distributed, to in the early stages, to where the Made in America is an established part when you've been through the whole rim of getting it on there. So a lot going on here, but tell us a little bit your view and a little bit about what we can expect, you know, on that third hour in the Made in America show.
Well, you know, I was talking to Ray. He's going to be on as my industry expert in the Invent America Hour, the trade wars, the trademark wars. And we were talking about, you know, I have never met an inventor who didn't want the first option of manufacturing in America. Sometimes, you know, the price points based on what the consumer will pay for it and what they can get it made for, they just don't work out. So they go someplace else. Now, if they have to go someplace else, their first places they want to look is, you know, Canada or Mexico, so they can keep it in at least North America. But that's not always an option either. But as things now have started shifting and we can build new factories, so instead of those new factories needing 100 people to work, they might need 20 because of all of the mechanics and the technology that comes to make it easier and less expensive. Well, as costs go up then in China and technology becomes less efficient in China, now it's pulling stuff back to America. And we've seen more and more of that even over the last 10 years, things coming back, which is wonderful because now it gives our inventors the chance to say, no, I want to be made in America. And our guest on that Made in America Hour, he has been manufacturing. He sells it in America, all right, and he ships it by the bucket, the barrel full to China. And I don't want to tell all his story. I want him to tell his story. We pay $10 here and for, a pretty good sized bottle of this stuff, which is awesome. I've been using it for 15 years. But, over there, they pay $150 for a little itty bitty jar of this as a beauty aid. So cool, but I want him to tell his story. So don't tell him I told you this. But, just a super product. But he started out as an inventor, at one point, and now they grow up to manufacturing. And so where, we want to be able to mix the letting people know about, yes, the politics and the issues, but we want them to hear the stories. One of my guests that's coming on in the next couple of months is Campbell Scientific. They manufacture in northern Utah. All right. Yep. Product that is on Mount Everest. All right. It is all over the world. It's a data logger, and look at Hershey's, Pennsylvania. They've been making chocolate bars for over 100 years. So we have got some well-established companies right here, and we want to tell their stories where, the Zach Model and his crew with Coalition for Prosperous America, they get to dive into the politics. I get the fun part. I get to tell the stories.
Well, I'm going to make an example. Zach, the CEO of Atlas Tools, one of the co-hosts of the Prosperous America show, the Made in America show. He was my guest last week. That's a prime example. He's fourth generation.
Yeah.
His company goes back to 1915, 1920, in that area. I can't remember. But we're talking, we're going into 4 generations. And I did a study on that, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, of American companies that started out at the turn of the century, and the companies that, started there are still in business today. What is the percentage of the owners being the same 100 years later? And what I found out, that after it gets past the first generation, it's only 50%.
Yeah.
When it gets down to the second generation, it drops down to almost only 20%. When it gets down to the third generation, it's almost down to less than 10%. And on the fourth generation, it's almost 5%. So what I'm saying is that for a company to sustain through history and to stay in the family, like we have a company down here, Tabasco. Tabasco is the oldest incorporated company in the United States. People don't realize Tabasco is the oldest. It was done through in Andrew Jackson. It was the first year of incorporating a business on a federal level. Now it's done on a state level. But point is, for Tabasco to be a family-owned business and withstand, I think they're up to 8 generations, 9 generations now. It's an amazing feat. Well, there's a reason. It's the stories that you say. It's got to have a story behind it.
Yeah, it's got to have the stories. I mean, one of the guests I'm going to have on, her relative, her direct line relative was Paul Revere. And he started a factory. Yeah. He was manufacturing in America. And I'm not going to tell you what he was going to manufacturing. It will make you laugh. But, that is a family secret right now. And
Yeah.
so, there are wonderful stories out there. So yeah, there's politics and issues for sure, but there are wonderful stories to celebrate. And that's the goal that I have on those every other Mondays, is to celebrate American success, American stories, and the people that hung in there and kept
Yeah.
it in America.
Well, kudos to all you. Well, hey, Rita, we're going to have to take a short break. When we come back, I want to hear some stories right here on the King's Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at HometalkUSA.com. Don't forget, at the top of the hour, you can listen to the Invent America show with the inventor lady herself, Rita Crompton. So we sure hope you stay with us right here. I'm the Cajun man from the Bayou Land, the originator. I will be right back with the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Y'all stay with us now. You hear? Yee! And now we're talking to the host of the Invent America show. You can catch her at the top of the hour, where we're talking about, she's going to be co-hosting with me on the Made America show at the third hour. And we're talking about the new twist of the Made in America hour. Is the stories of these great American companies. And what I found out in the early years, when a lot of the American manufacturers were offshoring and sending the technology abroad, that once, I don't think they had a clear picture of what was going to happen. Number one is the technology was going to get stolen. Proprietary technology was not protected. But the second thing is, when you put the numbers of bringing it offshore, then have to bring it back to the United States, the cost, it really wasn't a good deal. Yeah, they were losing, and then the quality control went out, because you had no control on the quality when of the products that was coming back into the United States. But sometimes, Rita, we always hear from our grandfathers and grandmothers and the old timers is that you keep hearing that saying, the grass is never greener on the other side. How many times we hear that? And boy, is that describes the American manufacturer, what they've done. And I think they realize, and now these products and technologies, due to our president's tariffs, and we do the tariffs, and we have done it, but making a level playing field for our manufacturers is our priority for our government. And the only way we can compete is to make the playing field level. Wouldn't you agree with that, Rita?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we know happens is that pendulum swings back and forth. And, we see what's happened over the last 50, 60 years, and what's starting to come back just because of pricing. And when it comes down to, a lot of times, is what would the American consumer pay for it? And then when do they start looking at the quality control? And, when somebody is shipping stuff in and there's 20% failure rate, and they decide, okay, well, I'm going to be breaking even though the price per unit is more expensive in America. I am going to be breaking even on that because it doesn't have the failure rate. Instead of 20% failure rate, there's a 3% failure rate, which is acceptable in the manufacturing business. So we're seeing, we've learned a lot of lessons when it came to manufacturing. Technology is shifting back into our favor now. So what we're looking at is, how long does that take to come back? And where we see some of these companies that have been doing, their own products, but now they're willing to take on a few others to get them started. Certainly when it comes to bigger companies that want to license product, being able to get those things back on the ground in the U.S. is critical to our own economy. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be part of that.
Yes, it is. And it's just the way you explain it, I think the grass can be green on the other side, to be honest with you. But
at least if you're looking at the green grass on your own side, you know how green it is or isn't. You know where to add the fertilizer. So, let's keep the grass green on our side and bring those manufacturing plants back to America and do what we need to encourage then those, just beginning or the ones that have moved and run into some problems to come back home.
Yeah, Rita. Now let's talk about your show, the Invent America show, that you're going to be here. And we do welcome our guests just to stay with us because we're on the same network, the King Broadcasting Network. You're entering, you're almost 2 years into this now.
I know.
And you're building up a lot of episodes here, a lot of information. Where do you see, your focus on your show? I mean, we've done the basics, laying down the blueprint, laying down, if you have that idea, how to get it to market. But now it's getting to the point where, and I think one of the areas that we really don't focus on a lot is the marketing part of this, where a company might not realize that you did all this to get it to market, but you have no money to market it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest problem.
It is. Marketing is the hardest thing to do because most inventors have no idea how to do it. All right. They think about TV commercials. Well, that's old fashioned, and by the time they get there, they've spent so much money on the intellectual property and the prototypes and the manufacturing. If they're going to do a short run, they're broke. And yet the biggest animal out there is lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, it's the bear that is going to eat you and for the marketing. So what we look at then is how do we help them do that? And part of it is, being a sponsor on the show. All right. They're not on just once, but they're on every week because we're telling everybody go out and buy this. Yeah. And that is what is cool. And we're starting to see that happen now. Where more of our inventors who have inventory and product, they want to be sponsors on the show so that every week somebody is hearing about how cool their product is.
And I want to make a statement. It's not a criteria for us to represent them by being a sponsor. They want to take it to that next level. And obviously we can use the help, but we don't charge anybody to be on the show itself. None of our guests are ever charged to be on. We're looking for great technology, great companies to tell their stories. But Rita, I tell you, we're going to have to, it's the top of the hour, and we're going to have to take a network break. But I'm going to be seeing you at the top of the hour, and we're going to be hosting the Invent America show with the inventor lady herself, America's inventor lady, Miss Rita Crompton. So, Rita, stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. Put your host hat on, and then I'm going to take my marching orders in a minute. But we're going to have to rack up right here on the first hour of the very best in home improvement information and education. Welcome to Home Talk USA America. I'm the Cajun man from the Bayou Land, the originator, not the duplicator. Please don't accept no substitution. Man, I was green before green was even called. Hey, I know a lot of you out there have a pro football hangover. It's Monday. For all the winners out there, we want to congratulate you. For all the losers like my Saints, we'll wait till next week. It ain't waiting till next year. It's waiting till next week. But, hey, football season's here. The weather's going to drop down a little bit. We're going to have some great time, great guests. We want to welcome all of you to the only home improvement show dedicated to you, the American consumer. Don't forget, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at hometalkusa.com. And please check out our website for upcoming guests and topics. We also stream all around the great American on terrestrial radio, all through our national radio affiliate. So check us out. And if we're not in your radio market, please go to your local radio station. We are the longest running independent home improvement show out there. So 28 years we've been on the air, and we're still counting. But hey, for those of you, we had a program change. And I tell you, if any of you out there have been listening to the Chairman's Countdown with Zach Modi, the Made in America on the Builders Build America Radio Network, if you have been listening to the show in the last couple of weeks. Matter of fact, we do air this show on the third hour I welcome all of you just to stay tuned right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. But if you have listened to this show, I thought it'd be great to get the chairman on himself, Mr. Zach Modi. Now, what you might not realize is that Mr. Zach has to go out there and make a living, okay? And he has to pay the bills. But he has a great company called Atlas Tool Works, and they have been in business. Listen to this, fourth generation since 1918, a great American story. And I thought it'd be great to get him on. He is right now the host of the Chairman's Show Countdown, the Chairman's Countdown with Zach Modi. He's here right now in the house. Mr. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Cajun man. It's good to be with you. I'm the man from Chicago, hanging out with my favorite guy from down in Louisiana, Cajun Mike. We're gonna have a good show today, huh?
Well, I don't know if you realize, Zach. I used to have an entertaining background when I was a teenager, and I had a show band that was actually performing in Las Vegas for many years, and actually my frontman, my sidekick, lives in Arlington Heights, right there in Chicago. So I'm in Chicago probably 2 or 3 times a year, to be honest with you. And I love going down there. And people don't realize that Chicago and St. Louis was actually founded and discovered by 2 explorers from Louisiana. So we have a lot of history.
Lewis and Clark.
Right. That's right. Yeah, from Louisiana. So a lot of the architecture, a lot of similarities in Chicago. Great city. The food. I love going down to the Italian Village down on Michigan. That's my favorite Italian place. But I don't want to get into politics on what's happening in Chicago. That's for our political show a little later.
We need 2 more shows for that, Michael.
Yeah, it's getting they're just turning this city, but that's a story for another day. But Chicago is a beautiful city, beautiful architecture. It's the beltway to the Midwest. Great food, great music. You're sitting down there on a lake and Navy Pier, and I mean, it's just,
It's
and then
spectacular, Michael. It's got everything that anybody could want. You know what else it has? A lot of manufacturing jobs. Chicago is part of the Rust Belt, and I say that with pride. I think the Rust Belt is the Golden Belt, in my opinion. That's where we make jobs, we make wealth.
Yeah, a lot of tool companies, a lot of screw companies, fastener companies out there. Matter of fact, my sidekick, Dean, that I'm telling you about, lives in Arlington Heights, which is a suburb of Chicago. He had a big fastener company, been to his manufacturing plant, his father-in-law, So just a lot of, leaders and ingenuity of your area. But Zach, I want to get away, and I do welcome my audience to listen to the Chairman's Countdown with you. It's going to be on the 3rd hour. But what I want to do is talk about Atlas Tool Works, because I didn't realize when I did my research, I did a show, it must have been 6 or 7 years ago, when I took companies that were through generational, either inheritance or first generation, second generation, third, down the line. And I did a whole thing on that. And what was really surprising to me is that 50% of the companies, when it goes down to the next generation, are only kept into the family. It's only like 50%. People don't realize that. And then when it goes to the 3rd generation, man, it drops down to almost like 21 or 24%. I'm just recalling the numbers. But after the 3rd generation, man, it gets down to like less than 5%. It actually stays. It just moves on. But for you guys to withstand, and the only reason why, let me back it up because I know I'm excited here and I want to talk about this. But the only reason why I brought this up is because we have a company in Louisiana called Tabasco. Everybody knows Tabasco.
Yeah.
People don't realize Tabasco was the first incorporated. Their incorporation, their copyright is actually number 1. It's one.
The first hot sauce.
Yeah. And they go back, 1790, had to do with the war. It had to do with the land that was given to them, a salt dome. And that's how it makes the pepper so unique. But the thing is, their structure has lasted because they're still a privately owned company. And I had the CEO on, he explained it, fantastic story. And I said, you know what? How many companies are out there like this? And then I ran across Ames Tools, Ames, Dr. Ames, the shovel, Ames. Ames's family actually built the railroad, went from east to west and built it. I had Dr. Ames on, and actually he had one of the original declarations of independence. It was real. He brought it to a function. There were 60 of them, I think, but he had one. His family was there when they signed the Declaration of Independence. So I actually seen one of the originals. That was amazing. And then the other buddy of mine was John Adams IV. He had a copy too. So actually in my life, I seen two real ones in front of me, and then I seen the first one, which they keep in the, you're never going to touch it because it goes below, you see it.
No wonder you're such a patriot. You're so inspired. You've had such good.
Oh man, when you see the Constitution of the Declaration of Independence, it's just like, whoa, But Zach, we're going to talk about Atlas Tools. What has happened since 1918 for you guys to be a great American manufacturer with a great American story? How do you get through this? I mean, lasted this long?
Well, thanks for asking, Michael. Yeah, it is pretty rare to have a company that's made it to the fourth generation like this. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why companies don't make it. I can give you a million of those, and you get it. Family. It's tough to work with your family sometimes. People don't work well together always, and you got to work through that. You got to have the family dynamics. You got to be able to work with your father, your brother, your sister, take criticism from them and do it in a constructive manner, give criticism in a constructive manner, and yet go home, be able to have dinner or sit together at Thanksgiving. And, sometimes you have to leave the business aside. But for us, it's worked well. Right now, the current generation, the fourth generation, I work with both of my sisters. I'm the president of the company. My sister Hillary, she's the vice president of engineering, super technical. My sister Althea runs production and HR. So we've each got our own buckets. That's one of the first secrets, Michael. I think for us anyway, we each have our own set of authorities. We respect each other's authorities. If they tell me, hey, this is what I'm doing, I got to listen to them. I'm not going to tell them how to do their job, right? You got to listen.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, when you have your board meetings, you all sit in a room. It's closed, it's private, and then y'all can hash out the differences. And then
sometimes you got to get a little heated.
You got to get heated.
You don't solve problems sometimes.
And I'm like this with my wife too. I have my wife. She's been with me since the beginning, and not only she's my partner in life, but she's also part of the structure of my broadcasting company. Same situation. But we're gonna have to take a short break right here on Home Talk USA, right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. We're going to come back with Zach Modi with Atlas Toolworks. Be right back. Yay! Welcome back to Home Talk USA, right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, this segment of Home Talk is brought to by you, one of our oldest sponsors, Aztec Washer. Revolutionary and innovative roofing products since 1968. Seal it right, seal it tight. AztecWasher.com. We're talking to our friend, the chairman. I'm going to start nicknaming. I'm just going to call him the chairman. I'm not calling him the chairman of the board, okay? I'm just going to call him the chairman. That's all. His name is Zach Modi. He's the owner of Atlas Tool Works, a good American company, but he's also the host of the co-host of the Chairman's Countdown with Zach Modi here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. You can catch him in a couple hours, but we had a scheduling change, and we thought it'd be great to talk to Zach about Atlas Tools, been open, fourth generation, family-owned tool and die company in the Chicago area since 1918. Now, Zach, what's exactly, I see a whole bunch of things. I know y'all probably evolved over the years, shield metal fabrication's probably got to be your biggest, but with the new technology and engineering, I know you getting into all these other areas, but wouldn't you say the steel? I mean, the sheet metal fabrication is probably your biggest, you know,
Market.
yeah,
The sheet metal. So we started, historically, like, my great grandfather started this business in 1918, and he had worked at a company called Western Electric. They made phone switching equipment. They became a company called AT&T. They became a company called Lucent Technologies, and all their spin-offs, Nortel Networks and Juniper. So we really grew up with the telephone industry from back in the age when it was the operator moving the plugs to switch the calls until we started getting into mechanical and electrical switches. So, my grandpa had the vision to leave his employer and said, hey, I have an opportunity to sell things back to them. So we started making dies and jigs and fixtures back in the early 1900s and selling to Western Electric. My grandpa spoke Czech. He was from the Czech Republic, an engineer. A lot of Czech workers, there were a lot of people, Bohemians, that worked at Western Electric. I found out he never even learned English. He only had to do business with that one customer, and it was his wife who ran the office and spoke English and helped bring in all the other customers like that. So over the years, though, we went from making dies and jigs. They said, hey, why don't you buy some punch presses and stamp out some of the parts that you're making dies for? So in the 50s, we added punch presses, and then the 70s, we were one of the first shops to add this technology called wire EDM. EDM is electrical discharge machining. It uses a spark of electricity to erode the metal in a very controlled manner with a computer-controlled program. And in the 70s, that was revolutionary. We had a tape machine that programmed it and stuff. And so we've kept adding technologies over the years to stay on the cutting edge of what's available in manufacturing, but also chase the marketplace. You've got to play the game that's on the field. You can come here and say, I make buggy whips. Well, if nobody's buying buggy whips, you're not going to have a very successful business. So my great-grandfather went to the opportunity with his customer. My grandfather fed the opportunity of the growing telecom industry. We got in all those other companies. We added new technologies. Then my dad's role, he largely supported, the telecom. It was booming all the way through the 90s, and he was just supporting that industry. We were growing other customers. We added laser technologies in the 80s. First shop in America to put in a laser machine in 1984 to cut prototypes and things. So now these technologies, I call them the tools in the tool belt. We have all of them now, plus new ones that we've added, more machining and 5-axis, multi-axis machining. But what changed for me anyway, I'm the 4th generation, and they usually say, like, the third is usually messed up, the second, somebody's messed it up before me. They didn't. They kept it going pretty good. So I'm lucky I showed up at the right place at the right time. But what changed around me was the world. China came online in the year 2000. That's the year I graduated college. I came here full time, and our sales went, the tech bubble burst. That was one thing. But the other thing was China. And so the bursting of the tech bubble caused my technology customers to look for margin somewhere else. So they started offshoring their work to these low wage countries. And China was raising their hand. They were right there ready to catch it all. And I said, what could I do? Could I lower the prices? Is it the quality? They said, Zach, honestly, it doesn't even matter your price. We're not going to buy metal from you, ship it to China, put the electronics in, then ship it back to America, whatever. We're just going to get it all there. So like overnight, we got cut out. Our sales went in half and in half and in half again. I was terrified. So my role, my grandmother encouraged me. She said, Zach, get out and sell. You need to get out.
That's right.
Go meet people, shake some hands, find some new customers. Your dad was an account manager. You got to get out. You got to be a hunter like your grandpa.
I was online on Friday for a discussion, and with a consultant that handles the and basically what he said was the future of sales is not necessarily going to be what you sell, who you sell, so on and so forth. But he said the 80% of what you're going to sell now, regardless of what you sell, 80% is going to have to do with relationships.
Amen.
People are going to buy relationships.
That's right, Michael.
So you're going to have to say, okay, maybe I don't have quite the best, not maybe the most inexpensive, but you need to go out there and establish relationships if you want to survive. Forget about all this other stuff.
That's exactly what I found to be the truth, Michael.
80%. 80%.
My grandma's advice was go and meet people, and I got involved. I got involved with industry associations for government relations, talking to the governor, talking to senators about, hey,
Yeah.
what do manufacturers need? And other manufacturers said, hey, I like that guy. I like what he's doing. Let's do business with him. I never sold them a part. I never said I want to make your parts. I said I want to help get a better environment for all of us. So that's the kind of selling, soft selling that I think people need to think about and find. So relation.
I'm going to have to take a short break. We're up against the clock. Got to run. But Zach, two comments I want to make. Early part of 2000 was 3D printing. Now it's AI. So we're going to get you back on. We got a great relationship, and I do invite everybody to check out the Chairman's Show with Zach Modi. But give us that website. We want to find out a little bit more about Atlas Tool Works. What is your website?
Yep, it's www.atlas-tool. That's a hyphen, atlas-tool.com. And you can see all the things we make. There's a lot of great pictures and videos there.
Say it one more time.
Atlas-tool.com.
Great. All right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to be back with another guest, another topic right here on Home Talk USA. Y'all come back now, you hear?